back to my channel. It's me again, Kazzie. I'm trying to get back into this filming malarkey, and we are continuing that with my January wrap-up. In January, I started the year strong by reading 6 books. That has been the most amount of books that I've managed to read in a month in the last 6 months. Because, like, holy damn, reading stumps, pain in the arse. I'm just gonna come out and say it. They are pain in the feckin' arse. But I thankfully have come over it. Touch wood. So let's just dive right on into these 6 books that I got to in January. So the first book that I read in January was a TBR veteran, because I have had this book for probably close to 10 years now. Probably closer to actually 9. But that's Labyrinth by Kate Moss. I bought this book years ago because Kitty McGrath was going to be Ariana in the Channel 4 adaptation. And Jessica Brown Findlay from Downton Abbey, who played Sybil, was going to be playing Alais. Being the fangirl that I am, because I was watching Merlin at the time and Kitty McGrath played Morgana, I got the book. And then Amelia Fox does the audiobook. There are 2 narrators in the audiobook. There's Amelia Fox, who does the present day narration, and then some other guy that does the past. I listened to the audiobook because the book itself is quite beefy. I cannot find it. I think it's on this bottom shelf here, and I'm just like too lazy to get it. It is a brick. It is like that thick. So it is, and it's like minuscule text, and the fact that the audiobook was so short, I was like, is this an abridged version? But nevertheless, I needed an audiobook, and I listened to it, and I was like, right, I might as well get to this one now, because if I don't now, I never will. I actually really loved it. I loved Ariana. Can't remember what way they pronounced it in the audiobook, but I loved Ariana. I love my kind of villainesses that are like so morally grey and just have their own agenda. Will stop at nothing just to accomplish it. I love it. So I was kind of rooting for Ariana the entire time. Never mind Alais. Don't get me wrong, I liked Alais, but it's just, I was like, Ariana, yes girl, love you. So it's like kind of like in the present day, Alice uncovers this ring with a labyrinth engraved on it, and it's just like, holy shit, this thing's been found. And like the shadow organizations are not happy about this, so they're like trying to like, right, we need to get this ring. But then it has this link to the past in Carcassonne. It's like pretty much set all in France, and I loved the audiobook. Amelia and your other man really brought it to life. I really loved it. I loved the characters. I actually want to like go to Carcassonne. Whether it's a real place or not, I'm not 100% sure, because I'm just like not up to the geography of France. But I love it. I actually have the second book, Sepulchra, in the series ready to go, but I actually might want to read Labyrinth physically just in case the audiobook kind of just skipped over a whole lot of stuff. But nevertheless, I really enjoyed it, and I gave that 4 stars. I liked it. It was good. After that, I read Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the sequel to Skyward, which I read last year and thoroughly loved. I give this 4 stars. So this follows a couple of months after the events of Skyward. I think it was a couple of months. I can't particularly remember. I suck at this. Why am I doing this? But Spencer takes it into her head to go on this other mission with Mbot, the sassy ship. And he gets even sassier in this book, by the way. I really enjoyed Starsight, but there was just something lacking in it, which is why I gave it 4 stars. There were just like times where I was like thinking, like Spencer was being unnecessarily stupid, but I really enjoyed it, and there were parts of this book that reminded me of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, so that's where it really grabbed my imagination because of those 2 shows, and they are like those were my shows growing up. I enjoyed the new characters. We're also introduced to a lot of new characters and new places and new species. They're good characters. I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed it, so I'm very much looking forward to the next book in the series, and I'm really interested in to see what's going on with Jurgen, whatever way you pronounce his name. Very strong sequel. Can you tell it has been a while since I filmed or even talked about books to anybody? For real? I was in a mood where I was like, I just want to read something that Amelia Fox was in an adaptation of. So then I picked up Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. This kind of has like a dual purpose, because I love the adaptation of it that the BBC did with Emma Watson, Victoria Wood, and Amelia Fox. And also it's mentioned in You've Got Mail, which is one of my favourite movies of all time. I could act in that movie. So I just felt like I wanted to reread Ballet Shoes because Amelia plays Garni. I saw this in Oxfam Books up in Belfast for £1, so I couldn't resist it. So I started to read it again. Really loved it. Really love Garni. I think she's my favourite character. Biased, obviously, because that's the one that Amelia plays. I also forgot that when I read the book last January, I had forgotten that Garni does not have a love interest in this. She does not have a love interest like she does in the BBC adaptation. And I'm like, why? They were so fucking cute together. Just give Garni a love interest, please. It was not too much to ask for because she's just adorable. She's just such a nice, sweet person. She deserves happiness. Really love this book. It's like 4 stars. Read for me. That's the same rating that I gave it last year. It's really cute. It's like a children's book, but I enjoyed it. It was very, very fun. And then I read one of my most anticipated reads of 2020, and that is The Conference of the Birds by Ransom Riggs, which is the 5th book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I love this series. I love Miss Peregrine, the character. I love the whole premise of this series. The first book is still my favourite. This one I was very much looking forward to reading because it picks off right where Map of Days leaves off, and I completely forgot where Map of Days finished because I read it last year. And I just completely forgot what happened. But it didn't take me long to get back into the series. I love it. I love that Miss Peregrine has more of a role in this. Still not enough of a role. Ransom Riggs, just give me a book all about Miss P. I would be ridiculously happy if there was just a book about Miss Peregrine. At times Jacob was annoying the crap out of me, but that's nothing new. He's a teenage boy. I'm not a teenage girl. I love what happens in this book. There's times where Miss Peregrine is a HBIC. Loved it. Love her. I can't really remember anything else that happens in it, but I just loved the character developments and the places that they visited, and I think it just like sets up nicely what's going to happen in book 6 whenever it comes out. So yes, solid 4 stars from me, and I'm just like, I love this world so much, and the photographs that are included in this world are out of this world. Love it. After that, I listened to the audiobook for The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the much anticipated final book in the Arc of the Scythe trilogy. I loved Scythe. It was one of my favorite books of 2018. When I listened to the audiobook of Scythe, I did not stop it. I did not want to stop it. I was listening to it in the car with my mum and brother in the front seat. I was just like, I am listening to an audiobook. I don't care what you two are talking about. I'm listening to this audiobook because even when I read Thunderhead, I could not put that book down. The ending, I was like, how can you leave it there? This book is amazing. I cannot wait to see what happens in the final book. I liked the final book. It is a solid 4 stars for me. I wanted it to be 5. There were parts of it where I was just on tenterhooks with the audiobook. Like, Greg Tremblay is not the best narrator that I've ever encountered, but he has this voice that just grabs you and does not let go. So I was on board that audiobook from beginning to end. A part of me felt that maybe The Toll might have been a smidge too long, and it introduced characters that I kind of found inherently pointless. I didn't understand or like what they brought to the book. I was like, what is the point of that? And it just at times felt like it was just dragging it out just a little bit too much. Like, I loved it, but it just didn't blow my mind the way that Scythe and Thunderhead did. It just was lacking something, or it just had too much of something else that I just was not enjoying, if any of that makes any sense. I didn't like Jericho. Goddard didn't even seem particularly interesting to me in this one. There were times where I was like, yes, but then there were other times I was like, what? Citra was annoying at times. Rowan was a bit more annoying in this one. I don't know why. They were like my favorites in the other books. There was just something about it that was just not wholly satisfying. Nevertheless, it was 4 stars, you know? There was just something about it. There were like moments of like high adrenaline. Yes, I am living for this. Give me more. And then there are parts that I was like, seriously, can we just get past this, please? You know? Anyway, that's that book. And then the 6th book, I don't know why I try to say 6th, but the last book that I read in January was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I finally got to this book. This is one of the books that, like Final Empire, has been one of the books that has been constantly been talked about since the day and hour I discovered BookTube. I got this edition last year because, you know, I want a pretty edition to read. I give this 3.5 to 3.75 stars. I love the premise of it, but the stuff between the first chapter and the last chapter, the meat in between, was nothing extraordinary to me. It seemed to smack of other fantasy books that I've read. A lot of this reminded me of Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Roche. There were parts of it I was like, I've read this before. This is nothing entirely unique or captivating. But nevertheless, I pushed through it to see what actually happens. The tasks that Selena has to do, I really like those. Some of them were pretty like pathetic in terms of what these characters, these assassins, these soldiers, these thieves all have to do. And I'm like, that's what you're making them do? But nevertheless, the end of it, I really liked. The final face-off, really liked. Like Selena herself, she's like this girl that's portrayed as like this heartless assassin that has been trained from like no age to be this heartless bitch, and yet at times she just crumbles at certain things. It just doesn't seem in wholly, you know, in keeping with her character. Personal preference, I hate characters that are like, oh yeah, I've been trained from I was like 4. Oh, that was beaten out of me. All feelings have been beaten out of me. I survived hell. And then it's just like, oh, hi, yeah, you're flirting with me. Hi, yeah, I like you too. No. But nevertheless, I did enjoy this, what I read. It was good. It was fine. And it has intrigued me to see what happens later on. There are characters I have heard about that I am intrigued to find out about and to encounter and see what they bring to Selena's story, and hopefully see what happens with Selena from here on out. So I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens. I just said that. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 6 books that I read in January. I am so glad that I managed to get to like quite hefty books here. Conference of the Birds, I pretty much read in about 36 hours because I did not want to put that sucker down because I'm just like, another book in Miss Peregrine's universe. Yes. And anything that has Miss Peregrine, give it to me. I need it. I want it. I cherish it. You're going a bit weird. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to a camera. How much weirder can I get? Don't answer that. I am just so glad to be out of this reading slump. I am very excited to get to reading now. I'm already onto my 2nd book of February and I'm already living for it. I started it late last night. I'm talking 11:15 at night late, and I was like, I don't want to put this down. I'm overreaching in a lot of what is being said, but that's the joy of it, you know? I am just so happy that I am out of reading slump. Yay! So let's see what February brings. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.